All right, good evening, everyone. Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Good
Benson,
evening, sir.
Taye,
Good evening,
Emmanuel,
sir.
Hafiz,
Good evening, sir.
iPhone. Can you hear me? Good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Okay. I was a bit behind schedule because there was no follow-up at all from your end. Your your governor is sleeping, so I wouldn't know. But let's start. So, want to look at tonight's live session, as I posted the slide to you in the morning. It's on the theory of cost and production, the theory of production and cost. So let me try and bring up the slides now so that we can see it on the screen, okay? So want to look at the theory of production and cost in quantity surveying. The theory of production and cost in quantity surveying, and it will be very loaded, so we need to listen with rapt attention and try as much as possible to take down some notes so that when it is time for question, we can all flow with it. So the theory of production and cost in quantity surveying. So by introduction, let me go to the next slide. By introduction, production theory explains the technical transformation of inputs, that is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurial skills, into outputs. So there are two major concepts. We have what we call the inputs, and then we have what we call the outputs. The inputs are the factors of production. You have land, you have labor, you have capital, you have entrepreneurial skills, while the outputs are the finished goods, which is finished goods and services. And the whole idea of having a production function or a production theory explained is to maximize profits, because the essence of producing is to maximize. Then we also have the cost theory on the other side. The cost theory explains how production decisions affect cost. It explains how production decision. Odewale Daniel, please mute yourself. It's better that way. It explains how production decisions affect cost in such that the cost is minimized effectively. So one of the aims of production is to minimize cost. Now, the theory of production and cost is essential for cost planning and what we call tendering, and then profitability. So when you are talking of planning, tendering, that is submitting quotations, and assessing quotations, and then profitability in quantity surveying. That you have to do when you talk about cost concept. So let's move on to look at the production function. The production function, if you look at the next slide, slide 3, it says that Q is a function of L, K, M, and E. Q is a function of F, L, K, M, and E. The L there is the labor, the K there is the capital, the M there is the land resources, and the E there is the entrepreneurial knowledge, skills, and ability. The entrepreneurial knowledge, skills, and ability. So the production function shows the technical relationship between inputs and outputs in such that the quantity produced of a commodity is dependent on the successive combination of factor inputs. Now, what does that mean? We are saying that if you want to look at Q from that equation on that slide, you will see that Q is the dependent variable, while L, K, M, and E are the independent variables. So the successive combination of the labor,
Sorry, sir.
the capital, the entrepreneurial skills, or the land is what will give birth to the quantity produced. So, in other words, the number of workers, which you call labor, will determine the quantity to produce. The number of capital employed will determine the quantity produced, and so on. Emmanuel, you are raising your hand. So, Emmanuel, you
Who
have
is
the
this
floor. You
Daniel
are
guy?
raising your hand.
What you are saying, what you are saying, and what this Daniel guy is doing is
I can't
clashing
hear
together. I
you.
can't hear what you are saying. What you are saying, this Daniel guy that his mic is on, is clashing together. I can't hear you properly.
Say what?
There's a guy that his mic is on. I can't hear what you are saying because of him.
So you talk to the guy. You are the governor. I've told him to
I've
mute.
been calling him.
So why you now? Should I do from here? So Daniel Odewale, mute yourself. Your mic is affecting and is affecting the class. All right. I think he has done that. So let's move on to slide 4. Slide 4. We're talking about the law of diminishing returns. The law of diminishing returns. Now, the earlier part, I was talking about the production function, and I said that the quantity produced is a function of the amount of labor, capital, entrepreneurial skills, and land resources. That means that the quantity produced is a function of how many laborers or how many workers employed, how many land resources employed, how many capital in terms of machines employed, how many knowledge, skills, and ability employed before you can know the quantity produced. So now let's look at the law of diminishing returns. Now, the law of diminishing returns, I like to say that the slides are not exhaustive. I only put major points there. The law of diminishing return is one of the laws of production. And what it says is that the more of a fixed factor of production that you add a variable factor to, the lesser the total output. Now, that you can see from this table. If you look at this table now, you discover that the total product, which you call the total output, when one labor is employed, you have 10. When two labor is employed, you have 25. Please look at slide 4. When three laborers are employed, you have 45. 4, you have 60. Then 5, you have 70. 6, you have 75. Now, if you look at it, you say that the total product is increasing. But come to look at the additional outputs that these people are adding, you will discover that from labor 3, the third labor is giving an additional output, because marginal product refers to additional output. Is giving an additional output of 20. But the moment they added a new labor of 4, you can see where my cursor is now, on 4, you discover that the, what's it called now? The marginal product has reduced. So it's reducing gradually to 15. You can see it there. So from 5 additional labor to 5 workers is also reducing to 10. That means the addition to labor is not giving addition to the total output, even though you can say the total output is still increasing, but the marginal output has started falling. Similarly, the average output or the average product is also falling. So you now see that the law of diminishing returns says that as you add a fixed factor of production, let's say land, to a variable factor of production, let's say labor, Once the marginal product starts to fall, then and the average product starts to fall, then the law of diminishing return are setting. So you have an assignment here on this slide. So using a relevant scale, use the table below or above to illustrate the relationship between total product, average product, and marginal product respectively. So what I expect you to do here is you just put the labor as your x-axis. You draw a graph, put the labor as your x-axis, then put the total product, average product, and marginal product as your y-axis. Now, once you want to plot, you take the labor, plot the number of labor against the total output, plot the graph first. Then take the labor again, plot it against average product, plot the graph again, then take the labor again, plot it against marginal product, and then you have something like this. So let's go to slide 5. Slide 5. Okay, look at slide 5. So you have something like this. This is how it will look like when you plot your own. Okay, we want to move on because we are using trial version of the Zoom, so we need to move faster. So let's go to the cost and cost concept. The cost and cost concept. Now, the cost refers to the price tag of a commodity. It also refers to the cost of producing a commodity. It also refers to the value of an economic decision or indecision. What I mean by that is there are times that you decide not to buy a product or you decide to buy a product. If you decide not to buy a product, that is economic indecision. That is called opportunity cost or real cost. Okay? Now, when you buy the product, that is your decision and that is your economic decision. So there are various cost concepts. We have a lot of them. We have one, fixed cost. Fixed cost does not vary with the output. Variable cost varies with the output level. Total cost is fixed cost plus variable cost. Average cost is cost per unit. That means AC is equal to TC divided by Q. The marginal cost is the additional cost incurred as a result of additional input added. And that you can see, I said MC, if you look at my cursor now, MC is equal to the C dQ. That means you differentiate C with respect to Q, or change in TC over change in Q. Now let's look at the graph. If you look at the graph, this is how the graph looks like. You see that the total cost and the variable cost are sharing similar behavior. But the fixed cost, if you look at this place now, let me put the cursor there. The fixed cost, you can see the fixed cost in yellow is diagonal. It shows that it's not in any way changing. The fixed cost does not change, but the variable cost is changing from zero level, while the total cost is changing above the fixed cost. Then on the other side, you have the short-run cost, and you have the ATC, AVC, and AFC. If you want to get your ATC, it is TC divided by Q. AVC is VC divided by Q, variable cost divided by Q. AFC is fixed cost divided by Q. All those ones are called short-run costs. Let's move on to look at the other slides. Okay, now let's look at this other slide. So here now, I've given you a worked example where you have the table. I can omit any figure here and ask you to calculate it. It's very simple. So you look at this formula. Look at the formulas I put under here. Okay, for TC is equal to AFC plus AVC. Then AFC is equal to TC minus AVC. That means you make TC your subject of the formula. Then AVC is TC minus AFC, or you can say FC divided by Q for AFC and VC divided by Q. The last one you have there is what you call the marginal cost, and that is the change in TC over change in Q. You can demonstrate this on your own, and then you get the behavior. So this is the graph. If you decide to plot the graph, it will look like this. Then let's look at profit maximization. That's another aspect of the topic, and that talks about profit. So profit is equal to total revenue minus total cost. Profit is maximized where MR is equals to MC. And the key decision rule for contractors is that you must maximize your profit. So for you to maximize profit, let's take an example. If TC is equal to 10,000 divided by 20Q, calculate, and then TR is equal to 100Q minus 0.05Q squared. Then calculate the profit maximizing output. How do you do that? You just differentiate the two. For total revenue, for you to get marginal revenue, you differentiate total revenue, and that will give you how do you differentiate? If you have 100Q minus 0.05Q squared, you multiply the power by the base. What's the power there? That's 2. 2 times 0.05 will give you 0.1. Then subtract 1 from 2, that will give you 1. So then this 100Q has an invisible power of 1. So that invisible power of 1 times 100 will give you 100. Then 1 minus that power minus 1 will give you 0. So Q raised to power 0 will give you 1. 1 times 100 will give you 100. So at the end of the day, okay, so your MR will now be 100 minus 0.1, just as you have it here. Look at it, I'm highlighting it. 100 minus 0.1. Then your MC, if you want to calculate MC, you differentiate TC over Q. And if you do that, 10,000 is a constant. That one will go. Then 20, look at 20 here. 20Q has an invisible power. 1 times 20 will give you 20. Then subtract 1 from the power, that will give you 0. Q raised by 0 is 1. Then 1 times 20 is 20. So if you set M out to MC, you now have 100 minus 0.1Q is equal to 20. And the final answer will give you 80 units. That's the profit maximizing output. Now I have just about 6 minutes more. Now let's look at slide 11. Slide 11, you have some further exercises there. Given the production function as Q is equal to 5L, oh, I just remembered that something is missing here. 5L, 0, let me insert it, 0 raised to power 8. Let me try and insert it. I hope I can do that with this time. Yes, let me try subscript. Okay. 0 raised to power 8, then K, 0 raised to power 2. Let's do that. 0.2. 0.2. 0 raised to power 2. Okay. So if you have this as the equation now, which I've just done, where L is equal to 2 and K is equal to 5, calculate total product, average product, and marginal product. Exercise 2. Given that TR is equal to 100Q minus Q squared and TC is equal to 10 plus 2Q squared, calculate the profit maximizing output and the maximum profit that the firm can make. Now, this one, you need time to do it. So, by the time we come for our contact session, if you are very serious, I will take these 2 questions again and solve them. But on your own, you can start the practice. Then the last slide is talking about exercise 3. Already you have the formula on top of the columns. Each of the columns, you have the formula there. So if I omit any figure here, you should be able to solve it. So the question now says, with the aid of hypothetical cost schedule, graphically illustrate TC, AC, and MC. So with this table now, you can draw your TC, your AC, and your MC. And then you can decide to use your own figures, but you can use the figure here to draw the table, okay? So I want to say that the time for this trial version of Zoom is very limited, but is there any question? What I'm going to do is to take those questions while the recording might have stopped, but let's see whether there are questions. So that's the summary of